Hey there, welcome back to Coin Flip. It's just me today, Derek Wu, because this one's less hot take, more read the fine print before it costs you money. If you had a loan sitting in the save plan, you've probably gotten a notice by now. 90 days on the clock, and everyone online is quoting the same date. Here's the part that's tripping people up. That deadline you keep hearing about is the earliest one, not necessarily yours. So today, we're covering 4 things, and I'm going to keep this practical. First, why your actual deadline might not match the headline. Second, what the fallback looks like if you let the window close without acting, and why that's the expensive option. Third, the real fork in the road once you do act, RAP or IBR. Different math, different timelines, and a door that only swings one direction. And fourth, what to actually go do tonight, step by step. One thing before we start. Nobody, legitimate, charges a fee to help you switch federal repayment plans. If someone asks, that's your answer right there. All right, let's start with that deadline everyone's panicking about, because the number floating around isn't quite the number that matters for you. September 29th, write it down. If you're on the SAVE plan, that's the date that's been everywhere the last few weeks. Now, let me complicate that immediately. For most of you, that's probably not your date. According to Forbes, the Education Department started mailing 90-day exit notices during the first 2 weeks of July. 90 days from July 1st, the earliest possible notice, lands you on September 29th. That's the floor, not the average. The College Investor got hold of Nelnet's FAQ, and it says Nelnet alone is contacting close to 3 million borrowers in waves running from July all the way through March of 2027. Read that again, March of next year. So if your notice shows up in January, your real deadline is April, not September. Does that make sense? Your 90-day clock starts on the date printed on your servicer's official notice, not July 1st, not some reminder email your servicer sent in June to get ahead of it. The letter with your name and your date. CNBC talked to Will Seeley, the CEO of Summer, and he made the point that there's no universal exit deadline here, which is exactly why so many borrowers keep guessing wrong about their own timeline. So step 1, before anything else, go check your servicer account today. Find the actual notice. Find the actual date. That's the only number that matters right now. And look, normally this is the part where I tell you to just flip a coin and move on. This one's different. Missing your window doesn't erase the decision. It just makes it for you. So what happens the day after your clock actually hits 0 if you still haven't picked a plan? So what happens if that clock hits 0 and you've done nothing? The Education Department answers that for you. Miss your 90 days, and you get auto-dropped onto the standard repayment plan, or the new tiered standard plan that launched July 1st. You don't pick a plan. One gets picked for you. Think of it like default settings on a new phone. Nobody asks if you want the ringtone that sounds like a dial tone. You just get it. And here's the number that should worry you. A lot of SAVE borrowers have been sitting in forbearance at a $0 payment for months. CNBC's coverage of these exit notices flags that jumping straight to a standard payment can mean several $100s a month overnight, with no warning beyond that one notice. That's not a rounding error. That's rent. That's a car payment. And it's not just cash, it's time too. Standard plan months generally don't build progress toward income-driven forgiveness the way an IDR plan does. So every month on autopilot is a month that doesn't move you closer to forgiveness. You end up paying more and banking less credit for it. The government built you a backup plan. It is not a good plan. It's just the one you get by doing nothing. So doing nothing here isn't neutral. It has a price tag attached. Which brings us to the decision actually worth making. Not whether to act, but what to switch to. There are 2 real options sitting on the table right now, RAP or IBR. And that comparison, that's where the real money gets decided. So now the real choice, RAP or IBR, and this door only swings one way. RAP launched July 1st, according to Choose FI. You pay between 1 and 10% of your adjusted gross income, sliding based on what you earn. 2 features worth knowing. Unpaid interest gets forgiven, so your balance stops growing past what you owe. And there's a $50 monthly match toward principal if your payment falls short.
Forgiveness lands at 30 years. Now, the part to memorize is the trap. Choose FI flags it directly. Switch from IBR to RAP, and those IBR payment history carries over with you. Switch back later, and those RAP months don't count toward IBR forgiveness. They're gone from that clock. Public service loan forgiveness is the exception. Those months still count there. Picture a subway turnstile that only spins one way. Walk through into RAP, and you can keep going. Step back toward IBR, and the gate won't let those months follow you. Choose FI's warning is blunt. Guess wrong here, and your actual payoff timeline can stretch by years. You've got some breathing room, though. Existing borrowers keep access to legacy plans like IBR until July 1st, 2028, before those options disappear for good. So, it comes down to one question: lower payment now or an earlier finish line. Pick whichever one lets you sleep at night. And you don't need a notice to act on this. The application is already open, with a couple of smaller deadlines sitting right next to it worth grabbing before they close.
Building on that decision rule, let's make this actionable tonight. You do not need to wait for a notice to land in your inbox. The income-driven repayment application is open right now at studentaid.gov, and RAP has been enrollable since July 1st, according to Choose FI's coverage of the launch. So Step 1, log in and check your services portal for your actual notice date. Step 2, run your numbers. Compare your RAP payment against your IBR payment using the calculators on studentaid.gov. Takes maybe 10 minutes. Step 3, and this is where people leave value on the table. When that notice arrives, there are 2 small checkboxes worth your attention. Consenting to IRS data sharing speeds up processing and automates your recertification every year, so you're not scrambling with tax documents on some random deadline. And if you enroll in AutoPay by September 30th, 2026, you get a full 1% knocked off your interest rate through June 2028, way better than the usual quarter-point discount. That's real money for basically zero effort. One more thing, and I want to say this plainly. Nobody should ever pay a company a fee to help with federal student loans. The Education Department's own notice says this directly, per Forbes reporting. If someone's charging you for this conversation, hang up. So here's your list. Confirm your date, run your 2 numbers, apply at studentaid.gov, turn on AutoPay by September 30th. 20 minutes and this whole thing is off your plate.
Okay, let's land the plane on this one. If you remember one thing from today, remember this. That September deadline everyone's quoting online, that's the floor, not the average. Your real deadline is whatever's printed on your servicer's notice, not Reddit's date, not your coworker's date, yours. And that Nelnet timeline we walked through, waves rolling out into 2027, that's not me being dramatic, that's just how the rollout actually works. So, Step 1 tonight is boring but non-negotiable. Go check your notice date. The bigger point underneath it all is doing nothing is itself a choice. Miss your window and the government picks a plan for you. Higher payment, slower forgiveness. Nobody wants that decision made by default. So here's the actual homework, and I'm giving you the short version because long homework doesn't get done. Confirm your notice date. Pull up your numbers and run RAP against IBR. See which one actually fits your income, not just which one sounds newer. Apply at studentaid.gov and get AutoPay turned on before the fall deadline, because that's free money you're leaving on the table otherwise. One more thing, and I say this every time because people keep falling for it. Nobody legitimate charges you a fee to help with a federal loan. If someone's asking for money to fix your save situation, that's not help. That's a scam with good branding. Hang up. Does that make sense? Good. You don't need a finance degree for this one. You need 20 minutes and a login. Now look, I know none of this is exciting. It's not crypto. It's not some hot stock tip. It's paperwork. But paperwork with a deadline attached is exactly the kind of decision worth making tonight instead of next month. So if you made the call today, you checked your notice, you ran the numbers, whatever it was, that's a win. Genuinely. Go ahead and subscribe so you're set for the next one of these. And if you've got a money decision you've been sitting on, drop it in the reviews. Might just flip a coin on it next week. A beat, like he's actually got the coin out. Heads, we cover it. Tails, We also probably cover it, honestly. Odds aren't great for you either way. Thanks for spending this time with me. I'm Derek Wu. This has been CoinFlip. Go check that notice date. I'll see you next time.